Chair recognizes Ms. Brown from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, we sit here in this hearing room, wasting our time, our constituents' time, and the nation's time, discussing a Republican manufactured crisis. Our last hearing in this subcommittee was focused on the Republican narrative of gaslighting people about a ban on gas stoves. And here we are again, now discussing a real Republican attempt to ban information and the freedom to choose how to invest your savings. As I said during our last hearing on environmental, social, and governance investing, ESG is a critical tool that businesses use to make financially smart investments. This type of investing emphasizes corporate models that are both financially smart and socially good, which is truly a win-win. Investment companies and asset managers developed ESG factors for responsible investing to attract financial backers and better assess long-term risk from challenges like climate change. ESG is not a liberal conspiracy. It's common sense, which apparently isn't so common these days. Nevertheless, Dr. Rajagopal, how do investors and asset managers, or why do investors and asset managers want to consider ESG factors?
So the question is, how do they consider it? Sorry. How do they consider it? Is that
And why?
How do they, yeah, so, and why? So let's kind of go back to the fiduciary discussion that we had. You know, as a fiduciary, if there's a robust body of science that raises potential risks, let's say climate as an example, at the very least, I think it's your responsibility to look at those things. You might decide what you want to, but at least you have to look at them. It would be the first premise. And second, you know, lots of comments have been made about how ESG funds underperform and so on. You want to look at specific aspects of the E and the S and the G. That's where the action is. It's not, you know, running regressions of ratings, et cetera, on returns. So if you want to look at S, quality of the workforce. If you want to look at G, are CEOs overpaid? What's the composition of the board? How many insiders do you have? When was the board appointed? You know, if you want to look at specific aspects of E, we can talk about physical and transition risks. So that, to me, is the way to think about the investments you have and look at the mosaic of factors. To me, it's no different from, say, accounting risk. One of the issues that's often not considered carefully in this ESG doesn't correlate to performance debate is that ESG is a lot about tail risk. What does tail risk mean? To me, it's like accounting fraud. Maybe 5% of your portfolio companies probably have some probability of going through an accounting fraud. But if they do, it's going to wipe out the principal, and that principal is going to wipe off years of returns. So think of ESG as a way to think about the tail risk associated with future cash flows of the stocks that you hold if you're a fiduciary. So hopefully that gives you some granularity. And
That's helpful. So yes or no, do you think the use of ESG data is politically motivated?
it can be, but it need not be.
Yes or no, would you say that the banning of ESG data is politically motivated?
I think it's regrettable. You should just let the free market decide what it wants to. Markets can't be efficient if you stop access to data.
Thank you. Well, unfortunately, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle throw out their support of free market principles when it doesn't fit their narrative. Apparently, recent abortion and book bans have not satisfied Republicans, so now they're moving to ban basic logic and data and interfering in the private market. It is truly disheartening to see my colleagues do everything they can to drag even the most commonplace issues into their manufactured culture wars. So let me close by saying this. Transparency, information access, facts, and truth are not conspiracies or a political agenda. And with that, I yield back.